It's the most fun you can have with your feathers on. We're Sports Guys Iowa, and here in the Peacock corner, WJR, our intrepid producer, John Gunderson, and just sitting there being awesome, as usual, the Alpha Peacock, Mike Schrock. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Warren. Hey, I got a quick story to share with you. Non-Upper Iowa related, but just encapsulates my life at this moment. I got talked into by my 21-year-old daughter last night of waxing my nose hairs. And so I went through that last night, and let's just say today I'm smelling things that I've never smelled before after I've pulled that forest of hair out of my nose. My wife said she feels more comfortable about going out in public with me now, so that's great. But again, another thing that my daughters talked me into doing that I wouldn't necessarily do on my own. So there's that.
I'm glad you were able to keep the meeting today and continue to do the show. I'm just glad you didn't get hurt.
I'm not going to miss this show, Warren. We got a hell of a guest today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who we got on today?
We do indeed, Mike. Our next guest found Upper Iowa University almost a quarter century ago. Started a family, put down some roots, and has served the athletic department in just about every way it can be served. You name it, he's done it. True story. He's now the Senior Associate AD for External Operations, Peacock Blue since 2002. Howie Thompson is in the Peacock corner this morning. Good morning, Howie. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Warren. Good to see you. Good to see you, Mike, as well. I see Mike almost every day here on campus, but it's always good to see you, Warren. Obviously, we get a lot of time with you in the fall, but that 1 or 2 weekends a year we get you in Dorman to watch some basketball is always fun, too.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun this fall. We're going to have some fun this winter, too. Hey, look, Howie, fall athletes are in town. You got about 100 guys, probably 100 yards away from you right now with pads on over at Harms Eyeshade trying to kill each other. First game is 3 Saturdays ahead. Hoskins is drinking 3 pots of coffee a day, sleeping on an air mattress in his office. Volleyball, wrestling, soccer, all about to get soccer started. Whole place just feels different, I'm betting, when fall sports start ramping up. And I'm just looking for your initial observations of it all.
Yeah, it's been great. I look out the window here. I'm sitting in the Harms suite here at Harms Eyeshade Stadium, and there's a bunch of guys down there. I look just right in my view. There's about 7 guys wearing red. So a lot of guys looking at quarterback spot after Daryl led us for such a great 3-year run. And I love watching what he and Shaq are both doing right now up in Canada. Daryl had 10 touchdowns a week ago. That's crazy what he continues to do. Monte Morrow, we just saw a couple of days ago, waived by the Chargers. Really hoping that kid can land somewhere else, but he's been on the Chargers the entire summer. Speaks volumes for the amount of talent that's here at Upper Iowa. But it also is a bit of a mystery this year. There are so many new faces that are going to be in lead roles where some of the only names our fans are going to know coming back are those running backs. Outside of that, it's all a wait and see. But I will tell you, the excitement is there. We were able to talk to a more successful high school group than we have before and get them on board. These offensive linemen that we have here right now are going to be really young, but they are big and strong and come from really successful high school programs. So it'll be really exciting over these next couple weeks. Coach Hoskins goes back and forth, depends on the day, whether he feels like we've got a winner or it's going to be trouble all year. I think we know to live in the middle and just look forward to more of the same excitement we've had the last 2 years with 16 wins in 2 years. Just unprecedented. Hadn't happened here before. Volleyball, really excited for volleyball. They're just starting to get going. So they're trickling in this week. First official practice with everybody will be on Monday. So that'll be a chance for Coach Hall and her new assistant, Dylan Baum, to get going with that crew. Again, a lot of new faces out there for that program. But Morgan Block, probably our leader coming back from last year, really sets the tone for the team and was in town all summer working and getting rehab and getting ready to go playing that libero role for us. You know, and Sockers have been in for a week now, and there's a lot to be said for, let's start on the women's side. What Coach Ritter's done is the first thing was grow the roster. We have close to 30 young ladies here to play soccer. I saw a social media post for them that came up that I had to chuckle about. They had their returners in front. I think they were using the themes from like a Love Island or Bachelor, one of those, where it was a new love interest has entered the villa or something like that. It was the returners in front, and the 7 or 8 of them, 9 of them came through, and then this load of new kids came through. So it was 3 or 4 waves of young Peacocks ready to come out here and play the way that Coach Critter wants to, but also have the depth to make some changes. Last year was pretty tough. Second half of the year, injuries really limited his subs, really limited what our kids could do in the second half. And that really affected how those games went. So I think we'll see a lot of improvement out of that squad this year. Super young, but at the same time, a lot of bodies to be able to compete in practices and in games. And then the men's side, again, tons of guys out there, about 40 plus guys out with men's soccer. They'll run a full JV schedule as well, play 8 to 10 matches for those 20 or so guys that are here trying to earn their spot on the varsity program. But Coach Jauncey in his first season will have new assistants. So just a big learning curve for him. And that's part of our job in the administration to try to take away as many hurdles or be there to help them get over those hurdles as they come up throughout the year. This is a really strong soccer conference. And so to put ourselves in position and to get into the conference tournament first is the goal of both of those teams. To get into the top 8 in this strong league would be a statement of growth for where those programs have come from. And then cross country will be here soon. Coach Rucker has some good young legs there that'll be out on the courses this fall. And our cheer and dance team with Coach Walsh just came to campus a couple days ago, and they're getting started. So brand new coach there. I think there's 14 or 15 young ladies here right now, and she'll look to grow that back to. Cheer and dance was one of our really strong programs under Tony Morris. Tony left here, took the James Madison University job, did great things there, and now is the head coach at the University of Arkansas with 86 full-time cheerleaders on game day for football and basketball and gymnastics and baseball. And so this is a great place, and I think you'll hear it as we talk today, but it's a great place to grow, get the experience, and when you're successful here, people notice, and you can really stretch out and find something bigger for yourself if that's what you want.
Yeah, Howie, we're really lucky that on this show, we've been able to already talk with Coach Hoskins a couple of times. Got Coach Sarah Hall on a few weeks back, who is an outstanding young coach. We have both soccer coaches actually scheduled already for next week. It'll be our first meeting with them. But I want to turn the conversation now on to you. Beginning your 25th year in Upper Iowa athletics, people know you as kind of the go-to guy. You're the most tenured guy in our athletics office. You've got a big physical presence. You're about 7'12", but I don't think people quite understand what it is that you actually, or all that you're actually in charge of. I know this is going to be a really tough question for you to answer, but what is it that you're responsible for in Upper Iowa athletics?
Yeah, our good friend Joe Stacy used to say all the time to Mike Pawicki at the time. And Mike Pawicki, one of my good friends, he's the athletic director over at Wayne State College. And he used to call him, who was in my role back then, he used to call him Mr. Long Title because he didn't want to worry about all the things that he was responsible for. And I think it's one of those, the longer you are somewhere, I think if you looked at a list of, by the way, 60-yard touchdown pass just now to the right of me.
Thank you.
Big throwing catch. Lovely. See, it's the best part about being out here. I get to talk to you guys, but I get a little glimpse of some of the good stuff. You know, if you looked at my job description, I think it would talk about fundraising as a priority for the athletic department. Alumni relations is a goal. So even if it's not going to be dollars coming in the door, we want to make sure that all our alumni are still feeling proud about what we have going here and that they're willing to share that message forward about what they've got going in their lives and how Upper Iowa impacted that for them. I think what my role has grown into because of my experiences, all of the sports communication, video, so webcasting, everything on the website, our stories to the press, all of our communication with donor clubs, and we've got several from the Gridiron Club with football, Dunk Club with men's basketball, Assist Club with women's basketball, Hot Dog Club with which you and Mark Danker are such a big part of for baseball, and Mac Club for men's wrestling. We do a lot of communicating back and forth, whether that be through video, through newsletter, through emails, just giving them the inside access and information. So a lot of that is running underneath me as well. Game day operations. We've got Katie Adamoff. Grant Ty is our sports communication director. We've had some great ones. Rhianne Kitlinski for a couple of years before that, after I left that role. So I've been lucky that I've had some great people replace me in that role. And I've not had to stress or think, oh, I don't like the way that. They've been awesome. And I've done my best never to meddle into what they're doing, but at the same time, I never feel that pull either, which is great. Right now, we've got Katie Adamov entering her third or fourth year with us for our director of internal operations. And she's really grown into the role. She does a great job with our game day relations with our officials, relations with the opposing team coming in, setups, teardowns, all of those things. But I'm still helping to oversee a lot of that. And then making sure that we have the right banners in place. So sponsorships from businesses to be a part of the Upper Iowa Athletics group runs through me as well. Myself, Willie McGowan, Rachel Kaspers, and Rick Hartzell are I wouldn't say super secret admin team, but we do meet outside of the admin team to just make a few of those tougher, bigger decisions. But one great addition to that group this year has been Matt Ruckert, our associate AD for sports medicine. He's been with us there too, and Matt's been here forever along with me, so I love having his insight in there too. But we're looking at department budgets, scholarship budgets, drug testing policies, mental health day policies, all those kind of things that are department-wide decisions that we need to be making. And then I guess this is one thing that I've added to my role willingly, and I think it's one of the most important things that I do is with my coaching background, I am here to serve the student athletes, but my service to the student athletes is probably a little bit secondary or behind the scenes so much that they might not feel that impact right away. And so I take my direct impact to the coaching staff and our department staff. Each month, we're talking about different issues within being a great leader, from leadership skills and development to communication, to self-awareness, to handling adversity, to talking about just the right ways to communicate, to be present, what it means to set a great culture. Instead of just saying those things, we try to take time and talk about them. And they're not always in meetings. A lot of times they're in newsletters that we run each month. But I try and share those tidbits, and then also work pretty closely with my sports. As admins, we have certain sports assigned to us. So I work closely with volleyball, women's basketball, baseball, softball as well, and take a little extra time with those head coaches to really just be a sounding board for them. If they need just to talk about how they want to approach a recruiting trip or how they're going to approach this weekend of games, we'll talk about that and go over those things. There is a little bit of everything. I would tell you that the three things that I have not been in charge of in athletics, and it's just fine, is athletic training, because Matt Ruckert and Rachel Kaspers and Ryan Fonkert and Sarah, and we've got one new coming on. They're tremendous. And I needed them when I was in college. I wouldn't have been able to play my senior year without tape every day and ice after and rehab on a knee and just that constant pick me up from an athletic trainer. So those guys are vital to what we do. Strength and conditioning. I'm big, Mike, but my son, who's a 17-year-old senior, hits the weight room every other day at school. And I hit the weight room for the first time my freshman year of college, and it hit back hard. So it took a long time to start lifting more than the bar, I would say, as a 17-year-old at Heidelberg. So those guys do a fantastic job. And we got new faces there with Clayton and Ethan and Will this year, young, energetic guys that so far have done a great job in their first few weeks. And then it's Willie McGowan right now, our former men's soccer coach, who handles our business services and compliance. And those are two areas that are really important to what we do, but I've not had to worry about putting that hat on yet, which is a good thing.
A lot of that behind the scenes stuff that you're talking about, Howie, is these are folks that nobody talks about them much, but if they disappear for a month, you feel it, especially in a smaller university with a flatter organizational structure like you guys have. I was joking with Stacy not too long ago. I was watching a basketball game last winter online up here in Minnesota. I actually saw Rick Hartzell on the working end of a mop, mopping up some sweat on the floor. I'm just going, holy smokes, that is one flat organizational structure. That's awesome. And then, of course, last fall, I saw you hanging up a TV about 90 minutes before a football game. So stuff like that. I'm glad you mentioned those folks because I'm sure they don't get enough credit. And I'm also glad you brought up fundraising because that is a big part of your job. Thinking about a small school with a lot of sports programs, the generosity of donors, whether it's students that had a good experience many years ago and want to give back, or just folks in the area that want to help drive out success in the athletic programs. The generosity of donors somehow means more. Tell us how you're engaging folks this fall, specifically around raising funds.
Yeah, this fall, October 28th and 29th will be our 5th annual Peacock Power 24-hour challenge. And over its first 4 years, we've raised over $630,000 thanks to over 3,000 donations. We have some unbelievable donors that have been a monstrous part of that dollar figure. Roger and Alice Mangan, Marshall Richards, Keely Johnson has been there every time for softball. This year, Deodric Sanders, the Curran brothers for football. This year, John and Sharon Orr, just constant, these major givers. But to get where we've gotten for 630,000 and 3,000 donations, it's everyone. It's everyone. And this past year, we raised over $230,000. And it was really humbling to go through that process. Our coaches and our student athletes do a great job leading up to that event of trying to get the message out. We do a lot to use the networks that we have here. All of that money that we raise, there's nothing that doesn't go to student athletes. We don't have past bills that we're still paying down. The beautiful stadium that we're sitting in, gifted to us by Steve and Diane Harms, the new turf field that was put in 2 seasons ago and this past year named Harms Family Field. The biggest things we've done have been taken care of by the generosity and love that our past alumni have shown back. So when we raise this money and we have these funds, they go automatically into the operating budgets for our coaches to use for the student athlete experience, whether that's as small a thing as better restaurants on the road, a little better hotel. All of those things make up just a much better experience for our student athletes. And then when we start to look at last year, the projects that really came into play. And so women's wrestling, really new here on campus. This year will be really the first year that we're sending a full team out there to compete. Coach Tiedemann has done a tremendous job in recruiting this last year. Last year, we were taking the mat, sometimes with 3 or 4 kids, sometimes with 5 or 6. This year, there's over 30 young ladies in the wrestling room to compete and train. So gone are the days where we're going to have Upper Iowa forfeits at weights. We're ready to go out and compete at every weight. We have 5 or 6 home triangulars this year. So a chance to see our team wrestle competitively really 10 times within that structure of the triangulars and really start to build something special. Last year, their fundraising goals were met, and we're nearing the completion of renovating our 2nd floor Garby South into their locker room using dorm rooms. So it's about 6 dorm rooms. We'll have lockers in them for each of the young ladies. There's a laundry room with brand new equipment for them. Redid the bathrooms and showers with a new floor. Redid the ceiling so that all of those things will be in place for them to have a home. It's important that that was done through fundraising because we are a small school. And while it's important for everyone to have their home, that wasn't the case up until about 2 or 3 years ago when we decided to add women's wrestling and where it was going to be, which for our old time Peacocks is the cafeteria in Darby. The first day I came in 2002, that's where I ate lunch. And it's been totally transformed by the university for a different purpose. But that room was vacated and those people all moved back into offices. And so it was sitting there with great walls and great flooring and like everything done. And well, we can roll out some mats in here and this can be our new training space. And so that was really the big piece that turned the wheels. So we were able then to use some space in the pack where we had baseball, softball, and golf. And we were able to bring our 2 soccer teams into the pack as well and give them a team space, lockers, whiteboards, right, signage, so that they have a space to call their own. And they're 2 of our still kind of young teams. It was late 90s that the 2 soccer teams were brought to Upper Iowa, and they never had a locker room to call their own. Women's soccer, a few months of the year, could have a space in the rec center, but then was moved out for track. So by having those spaces dedicated to them year-round, plus storage, it just adds so much. Now, what's in there? It's not quite good enough yet. They're lockers. They're just blue metal lockers. It still needs something. And that's where this fall, we'll be pushing on the soccer side and trying to tap into our soccer alumni and our soccer families right now to really invest in this is where the next step of that space can go. The basketball teams last year wanted to transform. They were already using a classroom as a film room, but they really wanted to make it a showpiece for recruiting, for retention. And you guys know when you sit and film, sometimes it gets a little boring, right? Even if you've never been an athlete, when the film comes into a classroom and the teacher hits play, sometimes it gets just it's a little tough. And so having a space that is engaging and inviting that you want to be in can help that a lot. And so the 2 basketball teams put together a plan, executed it. Mike got on board and Mike went and made some asks himself. And because he was a part of some great times for basketball here on the Upper Iowa campus and has some great connections there. And what happens is the teams combined to raise almost $65,000 last fall, all earmarked for this area. And so we're about halfway through that project. We've got some great custom seats on the way. We're going to build a couple of risers in. So we've got a couple of levels to it, all new graphic art on the walls. And it'll really feel like a special home for our men and women that are here, but then also a selling point for Coach Kasperbauer and Coach Moss to use as they move forward. And I go back and forth on our final renovation we've been working on this past summer because I love it. I'm not going back and forth if I love it or not. I'm going back and forth on how much of a surprise I want it to be for people. But we've been able to renovate the bathrooms in the dorm and gym lobby. And man, when I got the news and the approval that we were finally going to be able to do that, it was like Christmas because I've been pushing for 15 years at least for these bathrooms to be addressed. And so for us to have great buy-in from the president, generous help and donations from John and Sharon Orr and Marshall Richards to make this happen, it's going to be great. When you come, open the door, step inside, but then take a second and take it all in because it's going to surprise you what it looks like. And we're really excited about that too.
Yeah, Howie, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. For those of us that follow closely, the NCAA has been the Wild West, and you've got, again, 25 or going on 25 years of experience in the athletic world. some of the changes lately have been hard to keep up with, the NIL rules now and the 5-for-5. Just wondering kind of your take on that, and has that trickled into Fayette, that it's something that we need to be concerned with or have to worry about, or has that become now part of your job to deal with that?
So we can start with the 5-for-5. I think about the 5-for-5 and I really like it. I think that's a personal preference because I look back at my history. And as a freshman in college, I was a 6'10", 180-pound center. That's tough to get on the floor. So I was full JV. I loved practice. I didn't have any problem playing JV. It was great. And sophomore year, same thing. I got to dress varsity. I got in 3 games. I got in 3 games that year. I was 1 for 1 the whole season until the last game of the year. I missed a shot, finished 1 for 2. I could have led the country in field goal percentage, but I got greedy. Junior year, I really thought it was going to be something special. And an injury early, and just really the other guys around me developed better over the summer and came back more ready to go. And it took a long time my junior year to start forcing in for a few minutes a game here and there. So I was playing some JV, still trying to prove what I could do and get on the floor more. And then my senior year, it all clicked. I got to 210. That was a big deal. I thought, even though I really couldn't push everybody around, I still thought I could. So I had a good mental change there. And when I was done my senior year, a few points a game, a few rebounds a game, but I led the conference in blocks. And I thought, oh my gosh, what would next year be like? One more year, if I just could have gotten that one more try. I was coaching at Heidelberg that year and was on the floor at now 6'10", 230, smart as could be as the basketball, knew every play backwards and forwards from every position. And it was just like dominating in practice. I was like, Coach Hill would always look and go, wish you could play this year. I was like, so do I. So I think it just gives the kids a chance to really develop more, not worry so much about if I play 1 or 2 games, that's a whole year gone out of 4. Now, if I really want, if that sport for me is going to be a real turning point and where I want to dig in along with my schooling, then I can take my time in that first year to really develop, but still get a sample of games in and then see where it goes. For Division II, we just voted it in as well. We used to work with a 10-semester rule. Age wasn't a consideration for Division II. A couple of years ago under Brooks McCowan, man, we had the oldest basketball team in the country. I think we had a 27-year-old and 2 26-year-olds out there on the floor. And one of them, Noah King, might have looked even older than that. He was still only about 23 or 24, but
he did.
That's just not going to happen at Division I and Division II anymore with the clock starting at 19. So there are some things that if a kid is not ready to go right away, if there's some financial stress at home and just can't pay for that Division II or Division I education if they don't have a scholarship, they've got to go about it a different way or they're going to start losing some years. So there is some downside to that for sure. And I do feel bad for the class of 22, I should say, in that the years before them coming out of high school were all built in through a COVID extra year. And then now everyone that graduated in the class of 23 can still take advantage of this one. So there is a year there, but I think in the end, it's a timing problem. The fact that this was happening this summer for this fall means all of our coaches at all of Division II schools and all of Division I schools already have those rosters in place, already have those scholarships laid out. And in the Division I's case, already have a lot of that NIL money out that's not available if they tried to bring some of those kids back that would be eligible. So it's one of those things it's really difficult, but if you let 22 come back, you're really killing this class of 26 grads that have signed up and committed to play that you've almost backed them up a year. And that's unfair at this point in time for them too. When it comes to NIL, we have had a few deals in place with our student athletes for different things in town here. A lot of the time, I'd say our student athletes are more on the brand side of things and for product or for discounts for what they're representing. We work right now with a company, Influxer. Our Influxer brand sells our logos, registered logos, to fans, parents, families of our student athletes with their numbers, names attached. And that can be anywhere from t-shirts and sweatshirts to coasters to lawn ornaments to water bottles and things like that. And as soon as it has our student athlete's name on it, they're going to catch 10% of that sale as well. And so it's not going to make any of our student athletes rich, but some of our top selling student athletes on there certainly have some money for pizza and other things as they go through. I think we are getting to the point where we will need to bring in some businesses to be a part of our athletics department, maybe not so much as a sponsor, but as some of those name and image likeness deals. It's hard for me as a fundraiser, knowing that we're putting together our fundraising to help our operating budgets and to provide some extra experiences for our student athletes, to go to those same folks and try to figure out how to earn more money for the name, image, likeness without taking away from that first pot. I know there are, Coach Hoskins asked me a lot, I know there are people that would do that for him and provide money for an NIL for a student athlete or two. But they're also the people that are helping him pay for the extra equipment on the sidelines, for more ability to travel and recruit in the spring, to provide the ability to bring everybody to Hobart, Indiana last winter. If we didn't have the Gridiron Club raising that money, we would have had to leave home 15 or 20 guys. And so the ability to do those things come through our donors. And so we need to be able to maintain that base, one of the donors and two of the funds coming in, and then find a way to raise the threshold in addition.
Very complicated ecosystem. The new rule structure, always changing, has added layers of complexity, but you guys are leaning into that, and important work that you're doing on that. Mike and Warren in the Peacock corner with Associate AD Howie Thompson. Howie, 5 football games this fall. By my count, 8 volleyball matches coming up in Fayette, 19 or 20 soccer games between the men and the women, wrestling, basketball, warming up in the bullpen. You got the Peacock Power 24-hour challenge coming up on October 28th. You probably won't sleep for a week right around there. You have a place to be almost all the time. Yeah. And especially on game day. Help paint a picture for our listeners and viewers. What's that like on game day?
Yeah. I've always loved game day. When I was the sports communication director, I'd get here 2 or 3 hours before a football game and get all my equipment set up, make sure that my stack computer was ready, a webcasting check computer over here where I'd be able to cut some clips as they happen, make sure that our scripts for the PA were ready to go, make sure that guys like Warren and Joe are ready to go with their reads, any other information they might need, scatter a lot of documents between the booths, and just kind of then, hopefully an hour and a half or so before the game, just take 15 or 20 minutes to get down onto the field, talk to the coaches, talk to a couple players, and just soak in a little bit of what was going before coming up and really locking into what was going on. But now, man, I have so much fun at game days because I can still show up 2 or 3 hours before, but I bring a few things out through the tailgate area. And I get to stop and talk to all kinds of people, alumni, parents, members of the Tailgate Association, and just chit chat and talk about the football team and talk about last week's game and what we're looking at this week and answer any questions they have, and then start to make my way to the stadium. And again, just really making sure that everybody that's up here knows how important they are to the day, whether that be Penny and her crew that are at the bar for beverages and food all day for the guests, whether that be the alumni advancement staff that's in the suites ready to meet 100 people coming up to the suites that day, saying hi to you and Joe and making sure you have everything from Grant and Rianne. I don't have to say hi to the visiting coaches. That's nice. But if I see them, I'll still let them know a few things. But
you're a friendly guy.
Yeah, I'm a friendly guy still. And then I can go down to the field and I can just walk the field and make sure that everything is where it should be. Take a second with each of the goalpost pads and make sure that the UI logo is exactly centered up. We want to just make sure everything is as perfect as it can be before everybody moves from the tailgate area over to us. And then I get to take another walk through the tailgate area in a different direction and find a few more people that I haven't seen yet and talk to them, and go back to the office, make sure I've got everything I need for the day, review a few notes if I know some people are coming. And then really, I move so much during a football game, from the field for a few minutes to up in the suites for a few minutes. I'll check into the press box and make sure that Grant and our video production is going well, and we've got good communication with our Red Hat and with Cheer on breaks. I'll be able to go down to the field and see it firsthand and take some of that in, come back in, check in with Joe and Warren, sit in at halftime and talk about just everything Upper Iowa, and really just be here to answer questions, to give information, and make everybody feel like this is the greatest place to be on a Saturday in August, September, and October. And then as we move into the fall, there are times where I have to double up and help. There might be a time where we have soccer and volleyball together where I might have to get on a stack computer for a sport. I know the last football game on the 14th, we'll have football at noon, and that night we'll have two basketball games. Our men's basketball team's hosting a tournament Friday and Saturday that weekend. And so there'll be just some things there where it'll probably be me doing more of the work. But I think it's really important in my role right now that as the game is going, I'm able to have great conversations with our university leadership, with our donors, and our alumni that are present and parents that are present, to just let them know if there's ever questions, they can come and ask, and we'll do our best to find solutions.
Thanks for unpacking that, Howie. I guess the point that I was hoping that you would make, and you did, was just that probably over the course of a game day, you're probably doing the work of at least parts of 7, 8, 10, 15 different people moving about from one place to the next. But I'm also glad to learn that you're still taking the time to enjoy it, drink it in, and visit with some folks. That's huge.
Yeah. If something goes wrong, they're going to call me first, Warren. You know that.
Yep, I know that.
So we're pushing up here on time. We've been very fortunate to have you, Howie. I know you've got another appointment here coming up. So I want to end the show on this. And first and foremost, I want to say this, that working with you, you're a true professional. You've got so much knowledge, as we found out through this last hour. I've said it to you before. I really hope when that time comes that you will be the next athletic director at Upper Iowa University. I think that you are ready for that role. I think the Upper Iowa Athletics Department would thrive under your leadership, or continue to thrive. I really hope when that time comes that Upper Iowa has that option to have you in that position. But my final question for you is something that I ask all of our coaches, and I'm going to ask you, and it's a little bit of a different twist, because normally when I ask coaches this, it's about them recruiting players or potential people looking at Upper Iowa. For you, you're also part of hiring coaches. And as you stated before, when our coaches leave, it's because they're elevating themselves. So my question to you is, for any coach looking to come and join the staff, or any potential student athlete in the state of Iowa or surrounding areas looking to maybe join a team at Upper Iowa, what is your best Upper Iowa pitch on why Upper Iowa?
Sure. Yeah. Why Upper Iowa is, and everybody, most will say this, but this is a really special place. When I got here, I drove by coming from Ohio, so not a metropolis. I wasn't coming from a big place, but I drove by with my quests in hand on paper. And off in the distance at sunset, I was like, oh, maybe that's a building, a 3 or 4 story building out there. Oh, no, that's a silo. Oh, there it is. That's probably the city right there. Nope, that's another silo. And I actually got halfway to West Union before I realized, I think Fayette was back there. So we're this hidden gem. But the second you get here, the second you get into town and you get on campus, I think people are just blown away that how is all this here? They see the beautiful buildings on campus, Alexander Dickman Hall, the Green Goddess on top, just the look of Parker Fox, the new liberal arts building right across from the gym, the student villages that were built, and then the crown jewel is Harms Eichscheid Stadium that sits here. And to think about the amount of passion that people have had to put into this place and invest in this place really starts to dawn on you. The coaches that are here that are successful are completely bought into, this is a great place to be. It is not for everyone. The closest stoplight is 10 miles. If you like stoplights and you like to sit in a car and wait for the green, this isn't the spot for you. But if you want to go 15 miles in 15 minutes, boom, we got it. We're here for you. We have great outdoors. Volga State Park, really close. Backbone State Park, really close. We've got tremendous hunting and fishing around us because we have such a local group of student athletes too that can bring their teammates back with them. Rick Hartzell told me that the other night during was supposed to be the meteor shower, his son Jackson, who's going to be a sophomore here on the baseball team, brought 3 or 4 of his baseball buddies out there to the field they have behind the house just to watch overnight. Those are the things that make it really special, are the connections and the relationships that people have. And then you're just able to lock in. There aren't distractions to take you away from what's important to you. If what's important to you is coming here and getting a great education and getting your degree with great individual relationships with our professors in place, if what's important is becoming the best student athlete that you can and having a great experience on the road, going to games in Indianapolis, at least for this year, Chicago, to St. Louis, to Kansas City, like those are some tremendous trips that you get to go and take and have some experiences with your teammates in those great Midwest cities. To be able to do that on a weekly basis inside of our conference is a huge deal. To then have such easy trips as a student and with friends to go to Chicago in 4.5 hours, to Milwaukee in 5.5, to Minneapolis in 3.5, to Omaha in 5, to Kansas City in 6, to St. Louis in 6, Indianapolis 6.5, 7. We're in the middle of everything right here. And so there's all those things. It's very safe, but the key is we're going to compete. We're going to train hard. And our goal in the athletic department is to provide every possible thing we can, like it's a Division I experience in our small setting. This fall, we're going to start with about 422 student athletes here on campus. We won't end the year with 422. Again, this isn't for everyone. We're going to have graduates, and we're going to have a few people that decide this isn't the way they want to have their experience go. And that's fine and very understandable. But for the vast majority of those student athletes, this is a really hard place to leave once you buy into the culture that we have. We live with 3 core values here in the athletic department, and that's grit, pride, and growth. And the grit, I think, has been shown by all of our teams that we've seen rise up over the last few years out of consistent, tough years. Football and women's basketball being the two lead dogs in that really had to come together and know this is a fight every day to get better. And if we get better every day, eventually those things are going to stack up and be there. The pride that we show comes right back from the first day I got here with Coach Pro. And on the back wall of Dorman Gym was one wall mat. And Mike, it said pride. That's it. Because the mantra even back then was to be proud as a Peacock. So knowing who we are and what we stand for, but being proud of it, not being ashamed of being in a small town, small school, no stoplights, no fast food. That's all good. We don't need those things. We know how to get there. We all have our GPS. We can get there in 15 or 20 minutes. We're here for a purpose of going through academics and athletics together. And then the growth side of it is really a huge piece for us. And I think what I've been pushing a lot with our coaching staff as well, we don't get head coaches that are 20 years of tenure. We get, for the most part, first-time head coaches to be here. And if it's not their first, it was only a couple years somewhere else before coming. Coach Grimm with the men's wrestling team has been with us a couple years more than me. I think he'll start year 27 this year. This is still his first head coaching job. Coach Hoskins, his first head coaching job. Coach Moss, Coach Casper Bauer, right? These people that we have, Coach Hull, are new to head coaching, but to be successful, if you buy in to this culture and make it an easy place to be and build those relationships, it becomes a really rewarding and special place for not only your student athletes, but for them to stick around as well. They may not all stick around for 20 plus years like me, but it's easy for me. And Mike, I appreciate all the things you said to start. I would be remiss to say I have taken pieces of all the great leaders before me, from Gil Cloud and Kent McIlvania, two that we've lost in the last couple of years, to David Miller and his leadership as an athletic director, to Rick now, but also to pieces of my relationships with Chad Markison and Mike Powicki and John Olson, who are all athletic directors. Chad's over at Minnesota State Moorhead. John Olson's the vice president for the foundation at Winona State. Those guys all made a huge impact with me as well. And just the work ethic of a couple of people that are really special friends that have meant a lot to me and to my wife, Jenny, too, but to Sarah Swanson and Emily Preissner, too, were so great. A few years ago, it really kind of clicked for me. And Brock Wismiller, too. I don't know if I mentioned him, but Brock's over at Boys Town in Omaha now, doing great things with them. And the relationships we had together, kind of fighting through together a few different athletic director changes, we really found a lot together. And piecing all those things together and trying to work as hard as all of they did and keep them proud for where they are. If they come back and check on the Peacocks once in a while, that makes me pretty happy to know that they still care about where they were.
Hard place to leave, indeed. If you're young and hungry, get in here. Follow your GPS. You heard how I think that's pretty good advice. You'll find it. And once you get in, have a look around, talk to a few people, and you'll get it. It's the easiest thing in the world. Great points all, Howie. He's the busiest man in all of Fayette. He's about to get a whole lot busier, supporting current and future Peacock athletes with some very important work. Very generous with his time today. Make sure you say hi to him this fall. He's 6'10", so he's easy to spot when he's standing up, and he usually is. Howie Thompson in Peacock Corner, friend of the show. Love to have you here, Howie. Come back anytime.
Thanks, Warren. Thanks, Mike.